Hi everybody, day 56 on plan today, end of week 8, go me, weigh day tomorrow, and I'll be doing photos tomorrow as well, so watch this space. Today I really wanted to talk to you all about stories. I've got a few bits of paper to refer to here so I don't get this wrong for you all. I have been using the words happy and healthy a lot. Happy and healthy. I use them a lot in my when I lost my 7.5 stone, first time around 10 years ago, which is a really interesting concept for me. I've reprinted a lot of my, I've had a lot of new starters lately, and I've been reprinting my new starter journals and workbooks, and those words come a lot, I've noticed, in the journal that I workbook that I print off for them, and I'm using it a lot this time round, although I don't have 7.5 stone to lose, thank goodness, only a couple of stone to lose from my weight gain from my drug therapy, for my hemicrania continua. I'm still using those words happy and healthy a lot, and I wanted to refer to stories that we use linked to happy and healthy. This is very relevant. I'm first of all going to use a quote by someone called I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Eckhart Tolle. And this is a quote from him. Every fragment of self-talk is a little story in the head that goes around, and then you look at reality through the lens of the little story. Every fragment of self-talk is a little story in the head that goes around, and then you look at reality through the lens of the little story. I'm going to show this in several ways. So I've got a friend of mine who he is obese, and he is also a smoker. He's waiting for surgery, and he was in seeing a consultant to talk about the surgery recently, and he was told that he needed to lose some weight. And ideally he needed to give up the smoking. His lung function was quite poor, and that he wasn't in optimum health for this surgery, and so he needed to be in better health for it. And his I used to be a nurse, so and when he and I were talking about it, he was talking about how his oxygen saturation, the measurement of his lung capacity was not good, and his oxygen saturations were low 90s, which was really not good. Now he knows the job I do. He knows I help people to lose weight, and so he knows I was quite capable of helping him to lose weight by using the one-to-one diet. But I would never ever push anyone, or he knows I'm there to help him, but I would never ever suggest that. He knows that's I'm there if that was necessary, but I would never say, come on. He knows I'm there if he ever would need that support. But we were talking about the cigarette smoke, how he might choose to give up the cigarette smoking, and he made a really interesting comment, which I wrote down. And that was he couldn't consider giving up the cigarette smoking because it was the one thing in his life that made him happy, which I thought was fascinating. Even though his oxygen saturation levels were in the low 90s, so they should be between 96 and 98 for a healthy person, and even though the surgery that he needed was life-saving surgery, he was not prepared to give up the cigarette smoking because it was the one thing in his life that made him happy. And here am I doing something that is making me happy, losing weight. So the stories we weave. So every fragment of self-talk in my friend's head is that goes around, and then my friend is looking at that self-talk in his head. Then you look at the reality through the lens of the little story. So what little story is my friend weaving through the reality? So then my husband and I were talking today. I've had a horrendous day for one reason or another, and I was in floods of tears today, which I won't share the details of, but I was in floods of tears, and I needed a bit of a hug, and my husband is into amateur dramatics, and we were meant to be going up to see my stay with my mother-in-law this weekend, and who's moving, and we're not now. So my husband was not going to be going to his amateur dramatics this evening for rehearsals, and so he's been just not struggling, but he's it's a lot that he's got to do. It's a pantomime he's doing, and pulling all the dancing and the singing together is quite hard work, and so he was, part of him was a little bit relieved that he was going to be going tonight, but now we're not going up to my mother-in-law's, and so he could go. And so I said to him, oh, come on now, maybe you do need to go, because actually you could do with the extra rehearsals, couldn't you? And maybe you should be going. This was after I calmed down, by the way, and this wasn't while I was sobbing on his shoulder. And you know, we went past the conversation and we weren't talking anymore. And then a little bit later on, he came into the office and he said, I'm off. And I went, oh, you are going to your rehearsals? And he went, yeah, you're right. I need the rehearsals. I need to go. I went, oh, okay, have a nice time. And off he went. I could have thought two things there. I could have thought, oh, but I was really, really upset earlier on, and I could have really done with just snuggling up on the sofa, us watching a lovely film, and could have done with cheering up and having a bit of a laugh. And what a meanie when he could have stayed home. And that was really mean of him. He could have just stayed home. He didn't have to go to that rehearsal tonight. And maybe actually he just thought, God, my wife's a bit of an emotional mess and I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of this house. Maybe that's why he left. And so I could have thought that way. Or he could have been thinking, God, my wife's amazing. She's so supportive. I really, really needed that practice. And isn't she supportive of me? So I really should go, shouldn't I? God, I've got such an amazing wife to give me the kick up the arse and go. So those are the two perspectives that my brain could have gone. And I could have gone the one way or I could have gone the other. And those two angles are called choice points. And this is a CBT way of thinking. And this is something I've learnt from some group therapy that I've been doing. And this is linked to going back to the ways of thinking with regards to the happy and healthy. So I can, and my friend that I've been referring to previously, I am thinking very much going forwards in my life. I'm moving towards the happy person that I want to become, and making that choice point. And I'm choosing to think that my husband is thinking of me as a very supportive and amazing wife, rather than someone that he's desperate to escape from as an emotional wreck, as a choice point, rather than the happy choice that I'm making. Whereas my friend who is choosing to make the choice in his cigarette smoking, he's making a backwards choice. So choice points are, you either make a choice to move backwards away from move, or a forwards towards move. And although both of them are on the surface happy moves, his happy choice is a happy choice. His one is a backwards move and mine's a forwards move. So be careful when you are, when you make a choice, when you are maybe on a diet and you are thinking, I've got to stop this, and when you're on a diet, and actually you feel huge relief. And I have certainly been in that decision making process where you decide to step away from a diet and you just feel huge relief, don't you, that, oh, I don't have to do this anymore. And when you feel that relief, you also feel that sense of, oh, it was the right choice to stop. But of course you feel that relief, because then you can make that choice to feel happy with all of those food choices that are going to make you happy, but they're taking you away from the person that you want to become, and those happy food choices are going to take you backwards. And although the food is going to make you happy, you know, it's not taking you towards the person that you do want to become. And those food choices, although those food choices are going to make you maybe happy, like the cigarette choices are going to make my friend happy, you know, they're not happy choices that are going to make him healthy. And those food choices are maybe not going to make you and me healthy. And you really have to think quite deeply about what it is that's going to make you a happy person and also going to make you healthy. Does that make sense? So yeah, I hope that was, I tried to make it unwaffly. And so that's why I've tried to put all the post-its out so that it wasn't waffly. And I'm going to go back to the Eckhart Tolle. Every fragment of self-talk is a little story in the head that goes around, and then you look at reality through the lens of the little story. So just be really, really clear about the reality that you're telling yourself. Are you really, really being clear? What's that little story you're telling yourself? And just make sure that you, if you're in doubt, ask yourself, am I going forwards towards the person I really want to become? Really, really ask yourself and look at the clarity of the story you're telling yourself. Is this taking me towards the person I want to become, or am I going backwards? Hope that helps.